platform. For the first time, Ofori-Atta will offer the whole extradition from Ghana to US, extradition from US to Ghana very seriously, because in the BBC, I explosive interview and my explosive cover story about him. Omako and the lawyer. So share screens no so cry now. Also, Ofori-Atta has never been given the right that he's guaranteed under the Ghanaian law, and this is coming from Ofori-Atta, the lawyer over US and an international lawyer or fighting extradition or Enayat Kasimi or a lawyer for the former finance minister Ofori-Atta Ghana. Now in here, into your video you will see say Ofori-Atta sa lawyer funny or he had a sit down interview with the BBC because the whole world is watching. Why is Ghana's foreign minister, former finance minister, why is he in the US? Why doesn't he want to come to Ghana? These are questions. And a lawyer and a party say, and yes, he be Osro OSP na wa Ghana na bibisa they be, but then sa diamana omo ye no believe say a political persecution. They want to just do something to hurt on a client, Ken Ofori-Atta. Let's just watch this bit.
Former Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta is now at the center of an international legal battle. Authorities in Ghana have formally requested his extradition from the United States to face 7 to 8 corruption-related charges. The charges are largely linked to contracts awarded to Strategic Mobilization Ghana Limited, or SML. The decision now rests with U.S. judicial authorities to determine whether there is a sufficient basis for extradition. Ofori-Atta has not spoken publicly, but his legal team insists he's not evading justice and says the case is politically motivated.
He's committed to fully complying with the laws of Ghana, and he's fully committed to answering for anything that he did when he was finance minister. There's absolutely no question about that. The question is he being given the rights that he's guaranteed under Ghanaian law? He's not. He's never been.
How so?
Mr. Ofori-Atta was receiving a treatment. Mr. Ofori-Atta was in the US. They knew all along. There was no purpose for issuing the red notice, but they went ahead and issued it.
Prosecutors reject claims of political persecution, saying the charges are based on evidence and as the former minister failed to cooperate with investigations. The alleged payments of more than $1 million were made to SML without proof of performance under contracts they say were illegally awarded. But Ofori-Atta's lawyers say efforts to engage authorities were ignored. Now, we reached out to Ghana's Office of Special Prosecutor, but they declined to comment.
So this is exactly what the lawyers of Ken Ofori-Atta on my grantee interview with the BBC. Now, thank God said the OSP and also other bodies, they refuse to cooperate to the BBC because the BBC, BBC UK, Telegraph, so a newspaper UK, a news portal UK, they did a hate piece saying that Mahama is going after his political enemies. One example is this whole Ken Ofori-Atta issue. So they are not really in support of we getting our Ken Ofori-Atta to come back and face justice. Meanwhile, obi scam Ghana ha we brunisika ni asuma FBI and UK for police amombechi nipa no ye me extradite nipa no bra UK no be face justice. Regardless no me no ka say Okatete is finally back, and he also had this to say because also US he also had this to say about the whole situation.
Wafa bibia sama yankan sisudu eti atọ general question ye musa ne say so far Ken Ofori-Atta owo he
Isa ohini
enkomo bi akoso wo ho moma mi ni kakra nkyere mo
ohini
John Mahama campaign team say they say yeah beto aba no the last $20 million omunya free he Monty dey make ye Monty dey ye before question me musa na fa momo ho Musa John Mahama ban say the last $20 million on the year in the campaign onya free he you musa question
John
Mahama mo ya beto aba na John Mahama was kaba na you're very fluid na opposition owo sika se kura de na eye nwanwa man idea wo mu ye nyina points to the fact say It looks like obi impese adeɛ no yɛbɛ chicken Ofori-Atta na emu the man for no adwene edi agro and mɛkyerɛ no deɛ tia yɛnkɔ ne yɛnkɔhwɛ ɛyɛ attorney general yɛnti attorney general.
Principle of reciprocity applies, okay, and I would have been very happy to hand over Abutrika as I have done, okay, and then get Ofori-Atta quickly in return, all right. But usually, the extradition proceedings take place in a court of competent jurisdiction.
Okay.
Hold on. Abutrika as I have done.
Hold on. Attorney General, Jinaso na yemusa question. Kovi. Mama mi general question. Or you see where they say usually the extradition process is not started in a competent court of federal jurisdiction. Oba meremu agovi. Ubisa lawyer ni bia say what is the most principal law here pass obi huna. And they say say wusua mara ni nyina awie na wonnim jurisdiction of the court a wasua gukwa. It says oba file case. Na case ni woni made mani kosisen. Wa bene mani kosisen. Na o de call the wrong court wa de ayeye nyina no. Bruni si o say enkase. Okasa no say extradition process is start at the competent court of a federal jurisdiction. Tienio. Meanwhile, federal jurisdiction chrono one fa Antonio. One to be unconscious say Ubedu United States here. Federal District Court war a year United States here, a year 92. Uko do New York, for instance. Federal District Court in 3 New York. Your forum and venue selection. Until now, sorry, I said my file case. You cannot fight an extradition that does not exist. If it's an American from Extradition Act of 1960, Section 7, the ECA, United States, was file a federal question. Who file anyway? Now, yentie, you winning
to take a moment to announce that I have formally transmitted the request for the extradition quickly in return. All right. But usually, the extradition proceedings take place in a court of competent jurisdiction. In our case, that is the district court. All right. In the U.S., it will also be the federal district court. Now, mind you, the person who is the subject matter of extradition will fight it in court. Okay, so the American authorities won't just take my request and say, here you are, here is Ken Ofori-Atta, and then here is, his other accomplished, and you take them, and then they can face trial. It will have to go through court proceedings in the U.S. All right, and I just got to know, that he has hired some of the top. Yesterday, I got to know that he has hired some of the top lawyers in the United States of America, very experienced lawyers, to, defend him. Now, I'm not afraid at all. All right, I am not afraid at all. But it means that there's going to be a fight in the federal courts in the U.S.
Attorney General, I am so sorry. You were a noble gentleman. Why are you deceiving the Ghanaian people? Ken Ofori-Atta has hired some top lawyers. So first of all, extradition, to challenge an extradition, there must first be a formal request from Ghana. Later, the timelines and data or the extradition procedure, you can clearly tell us a time better Ken Ofori-Atta and lawyers. And Ken Ofori-Atta can appeal to the circuit court. So if you do her or state court and or more federal court, or more your friend is federal district court, circuit court, and some United States Supreme Court. Now, exactly. You can say extradition. Say federal district court or magistrate Naswa. They all you have to say. Issue extradition certificate. TNU. You read extradition section 1. I say a requisition for a surrender of a fugitive, criminal of any country, who is suspected of being in Ghana, shall be made by the minister by a diplomatic representative or consular office for that country. The minister by order signified to a district magistrate that the requisition has been made and require him to issue this warrant for apprehension. Now, sir, extradition process will be the same reciprocity. Or was reciprocity. Reciprocity, they say, send the towards extradition process. Sana US and so any delay. So Ghana, Extradition Act of 1960, Section 7. Or says, who extradite will be Obiaba be bone. Oversee a channel in the Kuri. The NCA Dika Yenese. As a year Nippon Nikromu, ne diplomatic senka Yeni Ukuja Trablaqua. Ever file Abbasi Ghana for more ready Panama. So US is almost the same. Extradition process is almost the same. Now, you ready? We say US for TAE. Now, Ubedruha 18 United States Code Section 3184. Or say whenever there is a treaty or convention for extradition between United States and any other foreign government, any justice or judge of the United States or any magistrate authorized, the key word here is authorized. So you cannot just sit down and allow any judge at all, any magistrate at all, to sit on an extradition process. General Tienier. So Attorney General Baba Kachere say, ya file can Ofori-Atta high lawyers for na a lawyer for no more top class. They are fighting the extradition. It's a lie, palpable. Because first of all, you must tell us where Ofori-Atta is. Because you can't just wake up and come and serve a extradition process anywhere. It must be at the right federal district court. Federal district court, you know, so baby, nipa na we no otie. Eti Attorney General for Ofori-Atta address na woni mu no ofambre. Eti Attorney General Ofori-Atta address ne breya. Ni ahunu so Ofori-Atta oti California, Ofori-Atta oti New York, Ofori-Atta oti New Jersey. It is our federal district court in the New Jersey no. E one ya file federal na memi nkoyi sa court ne mra ne nyina yen ready. So no suit. Oh my, so the idea that somebody is fighting extradition is not true. You ready? Section 18. You ready? Or say, may upon complaint made under oath issue warrant for the apprehension. Social media. Govi, Mona Montia, no problem. Attorney General is lying to the people. If said no U.S. court is hearing any extradition case, maybe extradition case in Omoyen, Ewahi. Attorney General, Dominic Ayini, why are you lying to the people? Seminoka say, Federal District Court to obey and our file extradition process against Ken Ofori-Atta because you can't just wake up and file extradition process anywhere at all. So why is it? Now, Yenti Attorney General.
Former Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta and his chef de cabinet, Mr. Ernest Dako Akori. You will recall that the Office of the Special Prosecutor investigated acts of corruption and corruption-related offenses by the former Finance Minister and his accomplices and proceeded to file charges in the High Court of Justice against them. On November 19th, 2025, that is this year, my office received a formal request from the Office of the Special Prosecutor to initiate extradition proceedings for Kenneth Ofori-Atta and Ernest Dako Akori from the United States of America. Following a preliminary review, our International Cooperation Unit observed that certain aspects of the request required clarification and enhancements to align with the applicable legal and procedural requirements. We communicated these observations to the Office of the Special Prosecutor via a letter dated 25th November 2025 and requested supplementary documentation to ensure completeness. On December 9th, 2025, the Office of the Special Prosecutor provided the requested additional documentation and addressed observations.
So by December 9th, and I am not say 22nd. So at what point in our filing extradition
that we raised, thereby finalizing the extradition request packages. Subsequently, on December 10th, 2025, my office transmitted the complete request to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs for onward transmission to the competent authorities in the United States of America. That is, in this case, the Department of Justice of the United States.
So the Department of Justice of the United States, so clearly you understand that a Department of Justice of the United States, eventually issue a arrest warrant. So how did you manage to tell the Ghanaian people, say, can Ofori-Atta hire a lawyer for, so among fighting the extradition process? You know what I'm here. Because you're ready, sir, you're ready. You're ready. Now, I say, if on such a hearing, he deems fit, here we are talking about judge now, but national, he deems fit the evidence sufficient to sustain the charge under the provisions of the proper treaty or convention, he shall certify the same to the Secretary of State that a warrant may issue for the surrender of such a person. It's Attorney General, our lawyer Ninim say a banner extradition and your final decision of a court. So if extradition is just issuance of certificate, how did you manage to say that it is appealable? Because per section 3184 of United States Code, no, extradition is appealable. The only time a decision is appealable at the court is when that decision is a final binding judgment of a court. In some instances, when your lawyer when him say even temporary restraining orders and injunctions and the Quran and appealable at the court. How much more a certificate, magistrate, and a judge neighbor issue, and a wood try to Ghana for one say. Can Ofori-Atta high top lawyers what they air fighting? Attorney General.
At this point, it is left to the American authorities, especially the judicial authorities, to make a determination on whether a sufficient basis exists for the two accused persons to be extradited to Ghana to stand trial. And because the matters have already been filed, and because they have been filed by the Office of the Special Prosecutor.
Filed where? Which court? Which judge? When was the hearing done? Filed where? Extradition cannot be filed at any just U.S. district court. Yes, I mean, you should give the people credit them with some intelligence. Eti can Ofori-Atta address or